And before we get into this review, I want to give a huge shout out to Pablo for hooking me up with this figure. Be sure to check him out on Instagram at PL_toybox_photography. He's a very talented photographer and awesome guy, so be sure to check him out. Thanks a lot, Pablo. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Fantastic Four High Evolutionary. And I'm super excited about this figure. I've wanted this character for a very long time. In fact, about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I made a custom of him using the old Toy Biz Thor Buster Iron Man. So this is someone I've wanted in my collection for a very long time. I don't know what happened to that custom. I think I ended up selling it after about a year. Because, you know, when it comes to customs, you can't really play with the figures because of the paint. There's always paint rub in the shoulders and all that kind of stuff. So I was waiting for Hasbro to give us this character, and finally they did it. So I'm super excited, but let's go ahead and get right into it. He does come in this retro throwback type of packaging, reminiscent of the Fantastic Four figures that came out in the 90s that accompanied the animated series. I was a big fan of that line when I was a kid. I felt like this, the Iron Man line and the Hulk lines were all things that were kind of slept on. They were all in the shadow of Spider-Man and X-Men, and I feel like a lot of people didn't really appreciate those things, even though a lot of those lines had some great figures. So I really do like this packaging. Unfortunately, it's not collector friendly, so once I take the figure out, it's going right into the trash, but it is what it is. I like the way it looks. I love the artwork up here. We have the High Evolutionary. It says his name. Over here, we got some really cool looking Fantastic Four artwork. Up here, it says Fantastic Four, and then in the corner, it has the old school Toy Biz style Marvel Comics logo that we used to see all over the figures back in the day. But down here it does say Hasbro. On the back of the box we get a little bit of information about the High Evolutionary. We get a look at all the other figures that came out alongside this character, and then we get this black and white artwork of him. And yes, the packaging is very nice. Unfortunately, it's going to go straight into the trash once the figure comes out, but it is what it is. Let's go ahead and get him out and take a look. Alright, so here we have the High Evolutionary right out of the box. And I think this is a really good looking figure. A completely brand new sculpt, no reused parts, all original. And yeah, once again, Hasbro has just gone all out on a random ass obscure villain. And you know, not a whole lot of people are going to be familiar with this character. If you read comics, obviously you may have crossed paths with him. He has clashed with the X-Men, he's clashed with the Fantastic Four, he's clashed with the Avengers. So he's been all over the place. So if you read comics, you know, you may be familiar with him. But if you're just a Marvel movie fan, or you're new to Marvel in general, you may have not experienced the High Evolutionary yet. So for a character like this, it always makes me very happy when Hasbro goes all out when it comes to the sculpting work, because there's not a whole lot of things that could be reused here for other characters. So a lot of things are very unique to this character that a whole lot of people may not be familiar with, you know? So I could always appreciate when they do stuff like that. And yeah, I think they did a great job with the look on this guy. I love his his pink his pink armor, or whatever you want to call it, his pink costume. It's such a bizarre color to use for a villain, but yeah, he just looks amazing, and he's just he's a threat. I do kind of wish that he was a little bit bigger, so that he was a little bit more imposing, but you know, he doesn't need to be like a big huge monster to have his presence felt. You know, this figure does the job, I think. And then getting in close and taking a look at the awesome sculpting work on this guy, starting off with the head, I think they did a really great job with this. It might be kind of hard to see what we have going on here because of the glare. I do have the lights turned down just a little bit. Hopefully you guys could see all the awesome work they did here, because this head sculpt has a lot of nice stuff. Check out all the panels, the lines, and like the circuitry type of stuff. And then up top we do have like this silver vent looking thing, and I like the way the silver breaks up the red a little bit. I kind of wish that they added a little bit more to the face, just to so that we could see these details, because it is kind of hard to see, especially when you put some light on him. It kind of gets lost. So it would have been nice if they added just a little bit more paint work to the face, just so that we could see all that stuff. And as you could see, the only thing that breaks up all the red of the face are the eyes. So something in there, maybe just like a wash or something, would have really brought out those details and made them look a little bit better. But as it is right now, you could see there's some amazing sculpting work done here. Then he does have his mohawk up top. That's awesome. And then moving down into the body, we do have some really nice sculpting work, but some of the paint work could have been done a little bit better. Specifically on these rivets. Like, he's got these little rivets all over the place, and the paint is kind of inconsistent. As you could see here, you could see some red peeking through the silver there. Same thing on this one, and same thing like right here. right there. So those could have been done a little better. And then there's some on the apron where it just kind of missed the rivet. See that? I mean, I could clean those up. It's not a huge deal, but I do wish that I didn't have to. And then we got a little bit of sloppiness right here, but again, not a big deal. I could clean that up. A couple more rivets over here that the paint just didn't quite hit the way it was supposed to. But you know, these details are pretty intricate, so it's understandable, but I feel like it was within their capability to do this a little bit better. But still not a huge deal. There's some really great sculpting work on this guy though. The arms look really nice. Got like that robotic type of look. So that looks good. Probably would have benefited from a wash or a more metallic paint job, but as it is, I think it looks good. Same thing down here with the legs. And then down into the feet, nothing really special going on. But yeah, for the most part, I think it's a great looking figure. He does have a lot of really nice sculpted details, but I do wish that the paint was done a little bit better. That's all. Aside from that, I'm very happy with the way he looks. And then as far as accessories go, the High Evolutionary doesn't really come with too much, but he does come with two different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists, and then we have a set of open hands. It would have been nice if they threw in something else, but I do appreciate that we got two different sets of hands. Alright, so now for a couple of quick size comparisons. Here we have the High Evolutionary alongside the Marvel Legends Tigra and the Marvel Legends Beast with the custom head from May Shelf. And just because I think he'd probably be interested in hanging out with these two guys, here we have the High Evolutionary alongside the Mythic Legions Boyer and the Mythic Legions Balam, I think this dude's name is. I love this figure, probably my favorite Mythic Legions figure, and I got him from D Amazing, I think. Yeah, shout out to D Amazing. And then just to have him in here with a couple of random characters, here we have him with the Marvel Legends Star-Lord and the Mafex Age of Apocalypse Magneto. Here we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Reed Richards and the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Iron Man. And you know, now that I see him alongside other Marvel Legends figures, I do kind of think that I do wish he was a little bit bigger. I think it would have been beneficial for him to be just a little bigger. As it is right now, he looks a little small in my opinion. But you know, like I said before, he doesn't need to be huge to be like an imposing threat. So I'm okay with it, but I think it would have been better if he was bigger. And then next up, of course, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. And then here we have him alongside the NECA Caesar from Planet of the Apes. And then we have the NECA King Kong. And you might be able to do some cool stuff there with these three. And then finally, here we have him alongside the Ursa Major Build-A-Figure and the Marvel Legends Rocket Raccoon. We need a new Rocket Raccoon, a new comic book Rocket Raccoon that's fully posable from somebody. I would like to see Diamond Select do it, actually. They did like a more modern one, but I would like to see them do this uniform for Rocket Raccoon. This is my favorite look for the character. But yeah, we need a new one. But anyways, I think these three look cool together. And then as far as the articulation goes, I do think that he has a pretty decent amount. It's definitely enough for the character, but there are a couple of points of articulation that I wish got a little bit more range. As it is right now, he's got the standard Marvel Legends articulation setup, so it's definitely enough for somebody like High Evolutionary, but there's a couple of things that could have been done a little bit better, or just given us a little bit more, that's all. But let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with the head. The head is on a ball joint. He does have that new style of neck, so we don't have a hinge in there. It's just a ball peg, so with that, you could get him to look side to side, which is nice. And then his head does have some pretty good tilt, so I do like that. He could look up to about right there, which is decent, but the High Evolutionary looks up to no one, so who cares about that? He could only look down to right there, and that's somewhere where I wish we got a little bit more range. I wish he was able to look down a little bit more. So I might have to modify that. We'll see. It would have been nice if they were able to sneak some more articulation into the lower neck. I think that would have been dope, since it is like a separate piece. So as it is, that's what we have at the head. And then for the torso, we do have a diaphragm cut. It does go side to side a pretty decent amount. It goes back only to about right there, which is not very much. And then it goes forward only to right there, which is not very much. I really wish that Marvel Legends would start doing the ball joints at the diaphragm cut and at the waist. I think that would have been perfect for this character. It would have been covered up by this, and it would have given us a little bit more range. As it is right now, we have the diaphragm cut, and I might pop this apart and try to see if I could add a little bit more to it. He doesn't necessarily need it though, you know. It just would have been nice to have, but you know, it's not like he's going to be like crouching forward in some type of boxing poses or anything like that. So I don't know. I want to do it just for the sake of being able to pose him just a little bit more, but I just don't know if he needs it. And then we do get the swivel right there. It doesn't seem... Oh yeah, he does have a swivel at the waist as well. It's just kind of hard to engage it because of the belt apron thing. And then for the arms, he does have ball jointed shoulders that do go all the way around. They come out to the side to about right there. He does have upper bicep swivel. He's got nice double jointed elbows. He has a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. For the legs, they could come out to the side to about right there, which is pretty decent. They could come forward to about right there. They could come back to about right there. And I was kind of surprised that the apron thing, or tunic, skirt, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really get in the way of the articulation too much. So that's nice. And then he does have upper thigh swivel. He's got double jointed knees. Bam! Look at that. That's a pretty good bend. He does have a boot cut, which is awesome. And then for the foot, you could bring him forward to right there, bring him up to right there, and then he has rocking ankles. So good stuff at the feet. So yeah, I do wish that there was a little bit more here, but I think it's enough for the character, man. Like, he's not going to be like in like the most dynamic poses. He's more of a stand there and do weird experiments type of guy, right? And just stand there and look crazy. You know, so he could do that. So I'm happy with that. But, you know, just for the sake of like having a fun action figure, I wish there was a little bit more here. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not too upset with it. I could definitely live with the articulation that we have on the High Evolutionary. All right, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, I think this is a pretty great figure, and Hasbro did a really nice job on this character. But I will say, I don't think that he's perfect. There are a couple of things I feel could have been done a little bit better. Nothing major, just a couple of small gripes. First off, I do think the paint on the rivets could have been applied a little bit more accurate. I feel like a lot of them kind of missed the sculpt, and I could clean it up. It's not really a huge deal, but there's quite a few rivets that don't really have the paint where it's supposed to be. And it's not way off. Even if I did nothing, if I just looked at the figure on the shelf, I probably wouldn't notice those imperfections. But once I start picking it up and playing with it and checking it out, you could definitely see those things. So that's something I think could have been done a little bit better. And then second, I do wish that he had a little bit more range on some of the joints. Not a whole lot, but I do wish that he was able to look down a little bit better, and I do wish that his torso had a little bit more movement. But still, it's hard to complain about the articulation when he can do everything that you'd want this character to do. And I know that kind of sounds like a cop-out, but for me that matters. I think the articulation scheme should match the character, and as far as High Evolutionary goes, the amount of articulation on him allows him to do everything that he would do. So, you know, it's fine, but I do wish that we got a little bit more out of the neck and the torso. But aside from those two things, I really love this figure. He looks amazing. The sculpting work is extremely well done. There's a whole lot of new parts here, which is great to see on such an obscure character. And he doesn't have a whole lot of accessories, but I'm happy that he came with 2 sets of hands. I'm not sure what else we could have thrown in there. Maybe some weird like little like animal, like a hybrid between a bird and a rat or some crazy shit like that. I don't know. That would have been funny. They could have got creative with it, but it's okay. At least they gave him 2 sets of hands. But yeah, I think that he's great, man. And again, like I always say, whenever I review a random ass Hasbro villain that they put a bunch of love into it, someone over there must much love villains just as much as we do, because every time that they dig into the crates and like pull a random ass character that not a whole lot of people know about, like from the bottom of the barrel, they pull them out and give them brand new sculpts and pinless joints and just everything that we want from Hasbro. They do it on the most random characters, and I just love to see it on obscure guys like High Evolutionary or Psycho Man or, you know, whoever. But yeah, they always do a great job with these obscure characters when they choose to, you know. When they want to go all in, they do it, and they do an amazing job. And, you know, in a perfect world, every Marvel Legend figure would get like the same amount of love that these random obscure villains get, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. I think they did a great job with it, and I'm very happy to have this character finally on my shelf to face off against the Avengers or X-Men or Fantastic Four or whoever the hell he wants, because he's the High Evolutionary. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And also be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.